If you have been a Pogue since day one, then what I am about to say is going to hit you in a way you are absolutely not prepared for, because Outer Banks Season 5 is the final chapter, and everything that has been building since John B. first jumped off that wreck into the ocean is now converging into one last ride, and the showrunners did not just decide to end it here. They planned this ending years ago. They always knew where this was going, and that is exactly what makes it feel so different from any other show ending, because this is not a cancellation, this is not a rushed goodbye, this is a story that has known its destination the entire time, and Season 4 gave us the longest, hardest, and most rewarding production the show has ever attempted, which means Season 5 is inheriting that energy at its absolute peak. But before we can even talk about what is coming, we have to talk about what just happened, because that finale broke something in all of us, and you know exactly what I mean, because JJ Maybank is gone, and I need you to really sit with how cruel and how perfectly written that moment was, because JJ and Kiera finally had the blue crown. They were right there at the edge of everything they had ever fought for, and then Rafe appears out of nowhere, grabs Ki, holds a knife to her throat, and JJ does not even think about it for a single second. He gives up everything, and the tragedy is that it was not enough, because Rafe stabs him anyway, and JJ dies in Kiera's arms, telling her he already got his wish because he had her. And I am sorry, but that is one of the most devastating exits any character has ever had on this platform, and what makes it even heavier when you go back through his entire story is that Luke was not even his biological father, and still abused him his entire life. And then when we find out his real father is Rafe, the same man who ends up killing him, it becomes almost unbearable to process, because every male figure in JJ's life failed him in the worst possible way. And the creators confirmed that his death was always part of the plan, that his arc was always meant to feed into a larger theme of redemption and chosen family for the final season, which intellectually makes sense, but emotionally does absolutely nothing to close that wound. And then we see the Pogues broken around that fire, and Kiera looks straight ahead and says one word, and that word is revenge. And Season 5 begins right there in that silence, because Rafe Cameron is now public enemy number one, and Kiera is not the same girl she was before, and you can see it in her eyes. Something fundamental shifted in that moment, and the season is going to revolve around that grief, that rage, and the question of whether revenge actually gives you anything back or just takes more from you. And here is where things get genuinely complicated, because the producers, when asked about the possibility of Kiera and Rafe, they did not shut it down. They acknowledged the chemistry, they acknowledged the tension, and in a season built on grief and forced proximity and survival, that kind of emotional intensity between two people can shift in directions nobody planned, and it would not diminish what JJ meant. It would just mean she is trying to survive everything that happened and find something to hold on to on the other side of it. And then there is the Rafe backstory, because casting calls for younger versions of characters suggest we are finally getting flashbacks into what broke him, what that family really looked like behind closed doors, and that kind of depth for the best written villain this show has had since Ward Cameron himself could be the most unexpected and rewarding thread of the entire season. And meanwhile, Sarah is pregnant, and there is already fan speculation that if they name that baby after JJ, it will destroy every single person watching, and honestly it should, because that would be the full circle moment the show was always building toward, with John B. and Sarah narrating the whole story as if they are telling it to someone, and now we know who that someone might be. And Pope and Cleo deserve their flowers too, because they are the only couple on this entire show that has never manufactured chaos. They are just solid and real, and this final season needs to give them the screen time they have earned. And all main cast members are returning, which means one last time everyone is together, and Netflix confirmed filming wrapped in late 2025 with a summer 2026 release window, which feels exactly right, because Outer Banks was always a summer show at its soul. One last season, one last treasure, one last impossible choice. And if you want every breakdown, every hidden detail, and every emotional moment covered before and after Season 5 drops, then subscribe right now, because we are not letting the Pogues go without a fight.